Hey folks, this is Gabe with Security.org, and today I want to talk to you about cryptocurrency regulation in your state. Now, the United States, of course, has a federal level, also a lot happening at the state level, and it's always going to be changing as this is a new field of investment and things of that nature. But let's go ahead and dive into what's going on in your state, at least right now. Of course, we also have a full comprehensive written guide to crypto legality in your state over at Security.org. Now, if your first question is, can my state ban it? That's very unlikely. Cryptocurrency, the way it works, actually makes it really hard to enforce those types of laws. But generally speaking, there's no state in which cryptocurrency is just outright banned. That being said, states can still regulate the sale of cryptocurrency for cash. They can regulate crypto exchanges. They can decide, some tax implications inside of a state potentially. So it doesn't mean that they're going to outright ban it, but they can definitely bring in some regulatory enforcement to the extent that they know who you are. Now, just to be clear, the first time crypto was officially recognized in legislation was in 2021 with the Infrastructure Jobs and Investment Act. And there we actually get some by name mention of cryptocurrency, digital assets, things of that nature. So there is that in the sphere of what could happen. But today we're not talking so much about the federal level. We're going to dive into each individual state. I also should point out that I've gone into the federal level in crypto regulation in this video that you can see here below. And we talk about SEC, FinCEN, IRS. Those all have bearing on what you're doing, even if there isn't legislation specifically talking about cryptocurrency. So make sure you remember that. Now, I'm about to jump in alphabetical order on all the different states. You can go directly to your state if you want to check out below. We have the timestamps. I know it's a lot of timestamps, but before we jump in, you do need to understand the phrase MSB. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what the definition of an MSB is because I'm going to be using this term a lot. Now, the definition I'm providing is by FinCEN, that is the U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. This is their definition. So here we are. The term money service businesses includes any person doing business, whether or not on a regular basis or as an organized business concern, in one or more of the following capacities: currency dealer or exchanger, check cashier, issuer of travelers' checks, money orders, or stored value. Just to be clear, everything I'm going to mention today is as of February 2022. In Alabama, legislation explicitly states that any business involved with virtual currencies must be registered as an MSB to do business in the state. In Alaska, cryptocurrencies need to register with the state. Now, there is no state law regarding cryptocurrencies, but the Alaska Division of Banking and Securities states that any crypto exchange must get a license in order to operate. Arizona has not clarified whether or not crypto exchanges need to register as MSBs. Arkansas does not have any state law mentioning cryptocurrency, and the Arkansas Securities Department has not made any type of statement on whether or not crypto exchanges need a license. However, Arkansas Securities Department did say that Mythical Gaming, a company that was essentially selling blockchain-based trading cards, did not need a money transmitter's license in order to operate within the state. Now, California, surprisingly, and by they I mean the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, or DFPI, does not require an exchange to have a license, but they have reserved the right to require one in the future. So they've kind of taken a wait and see approach. Colorado, the great Rocky State. Now, according to the Colorado Division of Banking, crypto exchanges will need a license if, one, they are selling or buying crypto for cash, helping customers transfer cash between one another, or helping anyone transfer crypto from one spot to another. So basically, yes, you'll need a license in Colorado. However, if they do not deal in fiat, nor do they help crypto be transferred between users, they could conceivably work without a license. Connecticut, interestingly, specifically talks about crypto by law. And their state law, I'm not going to go into it here, does seem to imply that all exchanges need a license. Now, the Connecticut Division of Banking has clarified that peer-to-peer crypto trading services do not need a license. However, if a crypto exchange takes hold of any user's funds, that does require a license. Delaware has not yet clarified whether or not centralized crypto exchanges need licenses. Washington, D.C. has a Section 26, 1023 that does seem to imply that one would need a license to operate there. And in fact, a district court did reject a defendant's claim that Bitcoin was not money in United States versus Harmon. Florida does have a money transmitter law, but they have not made it clear whether or not cryptocurrency is under it. However, in State versus Espinosa, they did reject a defendant's claim that Bitcoin basically was not money, and it kind of implies that crypto exchanges should apply to be MSBs. Now, in the beautiful, wonderful state of Georgia, the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance stated that some providers of virtual currencies must have a license. Now, they didn't really make it clear which providers wouldn't need it. And in fact, a company called CampBX found itself in a little bit of trouble when they did not have a license and were selling to Georgia citizens. So in short, you probably need one. Now, Hawaii has a Money Transmitters Act 489D. It essentially was requiring everyone to have redundance in cash and no one could use it, or basically no crypto exchanges could function. And so then they created the Digital Currency Innovation Lab, and they temporarily basically made it so that anyone could function in Hawaii, but that will expire on June 30th, 2022. So we don't know what's going to happen after that, because at that point, it would actually become difficult once again for any crypto exchanges to actually function inside of Hawaii. So who knows what's going to go down. Idaho, which I have unfortunately only spent about, 2 or 3 hours in, Idaho requires anyone who is either selling crypto for cash or buying crypto for cash to get a license with the state. Interestingly, the Illinois Department of Finance has issued extensive guidance on the buying and selling of cryptocurrency. Now, in Illinois, selling cryptocurrency for cash is not considered money transmission. Neither is swapping one cryptocurrency for another. However, if an exchange holds cash on behalf of a user and then a deal is made with a third party, that is considered money transmission. Given this definition, most exchanges will need a money transmitter's license, but individual sellers may not. Indiana and the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions has stated that there is no license needed as long as an exchange does not help users send cash to one another. Now, Iowa and the Iowa Department of Banking has not clarified whether or not crypto exchanges need a license. Now, Kansas and the Kansas Office of the State Banking Commission has also issued extensive guidance on crypto exchanges and what they can do. Now, if someone just sells crypto for cash or just trades crypto, that does not require a license. But the moment they're holding on to cash in order to help facilitate a transaction on behalf of users, then they will need a license. This is very similar to Illinois' law. So under that definition, most exchanges will need a license in Kansas. Kentucky has not clarified whether or not crypto exchanges will need a license. In Louisiana, crypto exchanges are governed by the Louisiana Virtual Businesses Act. Under this act, anyone who exchanges, transfers, or stores cryptocurrency on behalf of someone else does need a license. However, there is an exemption for businesses or individuals that are doing under $35,000 a year. In Maine, there's a specific state law that defines virtual currencies as money transmitters. In Maryland, the Office of the Commissioner of Financial Regulation has put out some guidance related to virtual currencies. The Commissioner of Financial Regulation stated that any exchange that accepts and transmits a convertible virtual currency or buys and sells a convertible virtual currency must register as an MSB. Now, this was all from a memo from the Commissioner's office. However, that memo also says in bold letters, currently Maryland does not regulate virtual currencies. So which one is it? It appears that whether or not an exchange needs a license hinges on whether or not the assets or the currencies are considered convertible. However, the Office of the Commissioner has not really made it clear whether or not Bitcoin, Ethereum, and things of that nature are considered convertible. So now Massachusetts requires a money transmitter to have a license only if they are sending it to a foreign country. And that means that in a lot of cases, it seems that they're not requiring crypto exchanges to have licenses. In fact, they were asked by Pabus. Pabus is a peer-to-peer crypto and wallet service. And they said, hey, what happens, if someone's abroad or something? And basically Massachusetts said, don't worry about it. This is from the Division of Banks of Massachusetts. However, if there are off-chain transactions that go to foreign institutions or addresses or consumers, that may require you to get a license in Massachusetts. Now, when it comes to Michigan, the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services has stated that crypto exchanges and administrators do need to register as MSBs. They have not defined administrator or exchange, so it's still not clear exactly where an individual falls when it comes to needing a license or not. Now, when it comes to the great state of Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes has not made it clear whether or not you need a license to sell and buy crypto. Now, Mississippi has not clarified whether or not an exchange needs a license. In Missouri, there's a law that if you are selling checks or sales of checks, you must have a license, but they have not defined whether or not that applies to cryptocurrency. When it comes to Montana, money transmitters do not need a license, but cryptocurrency exchanges do need a license in order to operate in Montana. In Nebraska, cryptocurrency exchanges can become officially state-chartered digital asset depository institutions, which are exempt from money transmitter laws. They're actually a little bit ahead of the curve in this sense. They have a specific act that has extensive guidance on how these institutions are to be regulated. So there is a lot of regulation, it's just not under the laws of other types of institutions. And this can all be found under the Nebraska Financial Innovation Act. Now, the Nevada Financial Institutions Division basically states that crypto exchanges may or may not need a license. They are applying it on a case-by-case basis. In short, the department asks anyone involved in crypto, fiat, exchange, anything in that arena to please write to them, and they will make a determination on whether or not you need a license. So it seems like you just got to go talk and see what's going down in Nevada. So maybe you go through, you talk to Nevada, you figure out what's going on when it comes to crypto exchanges and whatnot in Nevada, and they decide that you need a license in Nevada, but you can still apply for an exemption under the Nevada Regulatory Sandbox Program. So Nevada is just really doing things differently. Now in New Hampshire, HB 436 exempts people dealing in crypto from registering as money transmitters. However, money transmitters who deal in fiat and cryptocurrency are still required to be licensed by the New Hampshire Banking Department. Exchanges that deal entirely in crypto must follow the Consumer Protection Act, which means that they will be regulated like any other business when it comes to deceptive business practices and things related to consumers. New Jersey has not clarified whether or not crypto sellers will need a license. The New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department has stated that virtual currency exchanging and selling services must register with the state. New York, where I currently live, is one of the most populous states, but it is definitely the center of the financial industry in the United States. And therefore, they have done a lot when it comes to regulating different cryptocurrencies in the state. So this is where we have to first talk to you about the BIT license. So in New York, if you store, hold, or maintain cryptocurrency, you will need a BIT license. If you run an exchange, you will need a BIT license. If you issue a cryptocurrency, you will need a BIT license. And frankly, there are just not a ton of exchanges that are legally operating within the state of New York because this BIT license is considered to be a bit onerous among many of the people that they just decide we're going to completely ignore that market. Even I believe Crypto.com, for example, does not have a BIT license. Now, in North Carolina, the Money Transmitters Act requires anyone holding or selling cryptocurrency on behalf of others to have a license. So in practicality, this means that most exchanges will have to apply for a license under this Money Transmitters Act. But if you're just an individual holding your own, selling your own, you do not need anything of that nature, as long as you aren't brokering any deals or holding any third-party funds. Now, in North Dakota, the capital Bismarck has not stated anything regarding the regulation of cryptocurrencies. In fact, it was shot down in 2021 whether or not they were going to regulate cryptocurrencies. Now we're here to hit the O states, beginning with Ohio. Ohio has not clarified whether or not exchanges need to get a license. All right, now we're going to talk about Oklahoma. Oklahoma has not clarified whether or not exchanges need to get a money transmitter's license or sellers need to do anything. So we don't really know much about Oklahoma as of yet. Oregon has not decided whether or not cryptocurrency is considered money, and they have not decided whether or not sellers need a license, or at least have not clarified. All right, let's talk about Pennsylvania, great state. Now, money transmitters in Pennsylvania are governed under the Money Transmitters Act. And this is under the department or the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. But they have basically decided that cryptocurrency is not money, therefore exchanges do not need to get a license in Pennsylvania. So in short, Pennsylvania has decided that cryptocurrency is not money, therefore people do not need to get licenses like money transmitters. Rhode Island, the home of Providence FC. Now, under Title 19, Rhode Island states that virtual business activities are a form of currency transmission, and therefore they need to post a surety bond. However, for individuals, there are a number of exemptions. All right, let's talk about South Carolina. Now, the Attorney General of South Carolina issued a statement stating that currency or virtual currency lacks the characteristics of mediums of exchange, therefore no license is needed. Very interesting kind of opinion. However, if an exchange performs transactions with fiat currency, it may be required to get a license. So it's going to be on that individual case-by-case basis. The South Dakota Division of Banking has stated that virtual currencies like Bitcoin are monetary value and therefore they must be licensed within the state. And they must be licensed as money transmitters. Now, for my home state of Tennessee, the Tennessee Department of Financial Institutions has stated that as long as an individual is selling crypto or even an exchange is selling crypto and there is no usage or no holding on to fiat currency, then a license is not needed. However, in Tennessee, if an exchange takes custody of a user's cash and serves as a third-party broker between a buyer and a seller, this will generally require a license. Just to be quick, I am very happy that my home state of Tennessee has basically put out some pretty detailed guidance on how they're feeling about cryptocurrencies. Now, the large multilingual state of Texas has also issued extensive guidance when it comes to cryptocurrency. According to the Texas Department of Banking, cryptocurrency is not money. Therefore, if you're operating a crypto exchange in the state of Texas alone, you do not need to register as a money transmitter. However, if an exchange offers a stable coin, this term stable coin has been used a lot for each state because that does kind of change the game, then it does need a license. In Texas, an exchange will also need a license if it acts as an escrow-like intermediary between different users where cash is involved. Now in Utah, they have codified the idea that a blockchain token is not money. So crypto exchanges that don't accept cash may be exempt from licensing. Brokering a crypto for cash deal, however, is not in the code, and Utah regulators have not yet opined on what they're thinking about this when it comes to requiring a license or not. Now, when it comes to Vermont, one does need a license in order to buy and sell crypto. If you're doing a crypto exchange, anything of that nature, you're going to want to have a license when in Vermont. Now, Virginia has a money transmitters law, and that pretty much governs MSBs. However, they've also stated that they do not regulate virtual currencies. However, if a deal is made with crypto and also involves fiat currency, then it may apply as a money transmitter under the money transmitters law, therefore requiring a license. So we don't have a ton of clarity there yet. The state of Washington explicitly defines virtual currency as money. However, it exempts other uses of virtual distributed ledger systems to verify membership or authenticity in a digital capacity when the virtual currency is not used as a medium of exchange. Therefore, this may exempt blockchain video games, developers, or other NFT-related businesses from needing a license. Although the state has not clarified that this is the meaning of other uses to verify ownership. Now, the Washington Department of Financial Institutions has clarified that all crypto, ATMs, crypto exchanges, and hosted wallets are money transmitters, regardless of whether or not they accept cash, and therefore they are under money transmitter laws. In short, if you're running a crypto exchange in the state of Washington, you will likely need a license. Now, West Virginia has not yet clarified whether or not a crypto exchange needs to have a license under a money transmitter law. However, if it is determined that they need a license, which is still not super clear, they can also apply for an exemption under the West Virginia FinTech Regulatory Sandbox program. In Wisconsin, money transmission is governed by the seller of checks law. However, the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions has stated that cryptocurrency is not under this. However, if cash is involved in a cryptocurrency exchange or transaction, then this law may need to come into play. Our final state today is Wyoming. Now, Wyoming is doing a lot to make itself kind of a place where people in this sphere, this blockchain crypto world, want to be. And therefore, they have stated that in no way, basically, are they going to require licenses in this arena. In short, it actually says, buying, selling, issuing, or taking custody of payment instruments or stored value in the form of virtual currency or receiving virtual currency for transmission to a location with or outside the United States by any means is exempt from money transmission regulations. In addition, a person who develops, sells, or facilitates the exchange of an open blockchain token is also exempt. In general, crypto exchanges in Wyoming don't need a license from the state. Woo, that was a lot. I've now gone over 50 states and Washington, D.C. I didn't even get into Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is a whole other thing that, I should probably do a separate video about. But if you found today helpful, if you want to know more about what's going on in this sphere or anything related to physical or digital security, please subscribe to our channel, Security.org. We're here giving you new videos each week. So with that being said, my name is Gabe. This little space is Security.org. Be secure.